Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. It's 3v3 ladder action for your viewing pleasure this afternoon, and the best news is it's Average Joe's day today here at Guilecast. Those masters of mediocrity return once again to demonstrate why we all have to have speed limits on our roads. It's because of them. That's the reason you were late to your meeting. Anyway, that's Team 1 over there on the left-hand side. That's Team 2 over there on the right. Going first for Team 1, right at the bottom of the screen as they gate in. Bottom left-hand corner, it's Bad Company, one of the finest producers of UK drum and bass back when UK drum and bass was good. Anyway, going Cybrin opening first land. All opinions are the opinion of Guilecast only and not of subsidiaries or shareholders. Next up, team member number 2 for Team 1, it's Girago. He is going Aeon, going first land. And last but not least, up at the top left-hand corner, it's Ramirez. What's that from? Ramirez. From a movie. Answers in the comment section below if you know what it is I'm talking about. Anyway, he's going UEF. How terribly sensible, opening first land. Highlander! It's Highlander. Don't worry about it. I mean, still write something down there in the bottom because it helps the algo, but that's what it was. The movie where there was a Scotsman playing a Spaniard wielding a samurai sword makes perfect sense. Anyway, there we go. So that's Team 1. Let's check out Team 2 over here on the right-hand side to begin with in Hallyborange Orange. We've got Ikish. He's going Cybrin opening first land. Team member number 2 after him in Burgundy Red. We've got Donny0115. He's going first land, going UEF. And last but not least in Ferrari Red at the top right-hand corner, going first air. Interesting decision. It's Simon Winter. And I bet that's his real name. He could have been a bit more creative. So no judgments here. This is when you will light up the comment section, I'm sure, with that famous character from some sort of iconic piece of media that you haven't consumed, you've no idea. Anyway, he's going first air. He's going first air, second land. So there we have it. That is Team 2. So Team 1 comprised of Cybrin, Aeon, and UEF. And Team 2 comprised of Seraphim, UEF, and Cybrin. So what has the map generator generated for us in its infinite wisdom? Well, that's the mass poop situation. A decent amount of reclaim on these 2 central islands. I'm sure players will be rushing across there and wasting no time trying to scoopy-scooperson. Nothing, so to speak, in terms of mass points in the waterways, but water is likely to feature heavily in this one. No access to your opponent's territory without it, so that is not a surprise at all. You can see naval yards already queued up there for Donny. Have we got them queued up there down in the south? No, Bad Company's already crossing and moving over to the right. I suppose I might as well mention the totals, but not really relevant. All of these guys, these are of course ladder rankings. All of these guys are Joes by global rankings as well. They're not quite as Joey as they are here, so they're a little bit more experienced. These totals perhaps undersell them and their potential just a smidge. But they are all still of Joe level. That's a shoulder drone just going across there from Donny. So Donny went for shoulder drone and he's sent it over here to start work or reclaim. Actually, yeah, can you start work? I don't know if they actually ever changed that. Once upon a time you couldn't start work with a shoulder drone. It could only assist things or go and reclaim. But nonetheless, that's a great way to go and snag all of the extra mass poop. And will that be reflected in the early totals, the early reclaim totals? Well, Donny up at 655. He's leading the pack, followed closely by Ikish. So Team 2 for the time being getting the better of Team 1 on the reclaim side of things. Donny's wasted no time. He also got another shoulder drone off down to the bottom side. So I love that maneuver. See, not too shabby. Some people will see the Average Joes on the title and they'll be like, oh, I don't want to see that play. It's going to be garbage. Well, that is pretty sensible play in my mind. So well done to Donny. Donny, who is the first to get an operational naval yard, and another one coming along shortly after. It will probably have been outed by Girago's little land scout there. You can see it's just in range. That's a good place to spot it there, just next to the cliff edge, but keeping the intel range close enough to that aperture. That was a wise place to expect some kind of maneuver from the central player on Team 2 side of things. So, making his way to the top island, Ramirez. Com has waded through the water and is now setting up shop just over here. Going to start work on some mass extractors first of all. He's also managed to plonk down a naval yard of his own on the way. We've got 2 operational naval yards for Jirago, who's working on his 3rd, a 4th queued up after that. And we also have an operational one down here for Bad Company. And he's wasting no time going straight for a T2 upgrade on that. So, Team 1 definitely going harder for the naval side of things than Team 2. And on a map like this, that can only really be a good strategy. Meanwhile, on this side of the map, Ikish has scaled the beach and has wasted no time in getting an upgrade. He's gone for gun. He also plonked down a land factory. So this is a nice little beachhead forming here for Team 2. 2nd upgrade on the way for him. That's going to be a stealth upgrade. We also have an upgrade for Bad Company. That's going to be his 1st gun upgrade too. So a little bit of Cybran on Cybran action down there on the South Island. New naval yard in play at the top right hand corner for Simon. He's got 1 in play, working on a 2nd, 2 more queued up after that. But we have our first frigates traversing the watery divide. And it's out from Jirago, who's discovered Donnie's naval yards and is going straight after them. He's actually taken that one down to about half health. I wonder if it's not sensible just to try and finish off that first. Although that one is currently producing engineers. This one is working on subs. So I guess if we can get that one out of play, that might contain the threat a little bit. Although, of course, easy enough to switch production. Those engineers turn to frigates. But Donnie managing to keep the HP alive and well on that one. Stops for a moment to try and throw down a torpedo launcher. Has a sonar system just behind it. So if we can get 1 or 2 of those online, he might be able to salvage this. But that top naval yard very close to going down now. Sub 500 HP. What's happening up here though? Ramirez is being shooed off that top island by Simon, who's pressing with his comm, and he's got a bunch of Zuis in tow. Ramirez makes his way into the safety of the water. Oh, and what have we got here? Ikish goes for a torpedo upgrade, probably concerned about this situation brewing in the center and contemplating withdrawing his commander. He knows his team has grabbed the initiative on the top island. He can potentially afford to let this one go if it means holding the middle just a little bit. And with Donnie losing both of his naval yards, that's probably not a terrible decision. 7 minutes down, eco-wise, which team is doing better? Well, it's broadly neck and neck. About 104 to 96 in favour of Team 2. In terms of total mass, though, Team 1 are up 2k. Is that reclaim assisted? No, Team 2 actually doing better on the reclaim front overall. 7.8k to 5.8. Back to the action. Torpedo launcher upgrade at 55%. What are Jirago's subs and frigates doing now? Well, not a whole lot to be done. So a withdrawal command to the center of the map has been issued. We have a T2 naval yard for Ramirez at the top left. We also have the T2 naval yard down here in the bottom left for Bad Company. And him being Cybran allows him to sprout legs with his destroyers and go naughty, naughty, walkie, walkie up the beach. And he can, of course, just traverse straight the way over there and use that to shoo away Ikish if he hasn't already gone by that point. Torpedo upgrade at 76%. But then, of course, the pressure has eased off in the middle. Not much can be done with these T1 boats. They can't really reach too far inbound. Inland, sorry. So, as a result, it's not so much of an emergency right now for that torpedo upgraded commander. A little bit of a Zui press. Those are the Zuis, I presume, that we saw following Simon and his commander across the top island. has done some real damage to that T2 naval yard, down to about 9,200 hit points, but thanks to Girago, that attack has been stifled. We do, however, have a steady stream of Zuis which are making their way around the top of the screen and in through that northern approach near Ramirez's base. Is there much in the way of protective infrastructure? Not really. These mass extractors potentially very vulnerable. Salem class destroyer in range of Ikish's land factory. Ikish, having finally completed that torpedo launcher, is going to push further inland where it's going to be of no use whatsoever. But yeah, I don't see any way of him holding on to that land factory. That's going to go down, and I think that means an end to Team 2's presence down here on the South Island. 10 minutes gone. It's one middle island apiece. Naval initiative, however, is with Team 1. Checking back in on Ramirez's base. This little Zui attack seems to be paying dividends for Simon. We've got 3 dead mass extractors. This one was a T2. This is going to be another dead T2 and another one. Ramirez down to 21 mass per tick, down to 15 mass per tick on generated eco. And then he turns up on site with his commander to blap those artillery pieces. But that's a lovely little attack. Lots of damage inflicted there. And of course, more Zuis moving in to harass that naval yard. In come some engineers. Is this going to be a quick reclaim job? Yes, it is. Will it save the naval yard? Should do if he's quick. But he is not there to set reclaim on that last one. Pay attention, man. You did the initial hard work. You've snuck up on him. Got the proverbial drop. But there's 4 more coming in behind. So even if they were to act now, that is still very much... What on earth happened there? Some projectiles. What was that even from? I have no idea. It looked like it came off... Oh, it must have come off that. That Seraphim cruiser, Cybran cruiser, sorry, presumably belonging to Bad Company, which would have come around here, getting torpedoed by Ikish's nanite con. Little bit of airplay. First we've seen so far some Janus T2. I said strap bombers, T2 fighter bombers being used to harass both the main base and some of the build capacity over here around this T2 naval yard. But the naval build-up we saw for Girago in the center is now being applied to some of the naval yards in the top right-hand corner belonging to Simon. Soon to finish off that last Seraphim sub, and then they should be in position to take these naval yards down, and they have themselves a destroyer. Just for reference, that's the range on the destroyer, so he could happily park himself in here and hit some of these base structures if he can keep it alive. And there's suddenly a Stork torpedo bomber from Donny arriving on site, and another one, this time Seraphim torpedo bomber from Simon. God, tripping over my words left, right and center today. And I slept well. There's not even a good excuse for it. T2 upgrade on the way for Donny. Who's now working on more air factories. Is air suddenly going to play a big part in this game? The last of the naval yards is a T2 HQ. Might just be able to take it down before he loses these vessels to Zui spam and torpedo bomber spam. It's going to be close. Maybe it isn't. He is running out of boats thick and fast. 1 frigate and 2 subs left. Should have kept on microing. I think Simon's going to hold on to this. Yes, he is. 2,295 hit points remaining. He says thank you very much. And that is the end of that little fleet, which originally pushed up over here and saw off Donny's initial naval yards, which curiously Donny has decided not to try and rebuild at any point, feeling like they're a little bit locked out of the sea game. That really is going to mean that this Zooey spam is crucial. If Simon can deal some killing blows here and there, then maybe they can fight their way back into this. What are they rocking? They haven't got an Aeon player, so they can't go mass blazes. They could go mass riptide from Donny. However, he hasn't got much in the way of ground-based production. In fact, he hasn't got any. He is pure air at this point. So, no hovery amphibious tanks for you, sir. 15 minutes in, and would you just look at the difference in ecos right here. So, Team 1 have pressed quite hard on the naval production and some of the early spam, but they are really falling off the pace here in terms of eco. Is this down to a power lock anywhere, I wonder? No, it is not. Those are accurate readings from Team 1. They are massively off the pace, being outproduced in mass, almost 2-to-1 at this point. And that is not good. A mere 15 minutes into the game, when all they've had is one little ground attack through here and a couple of Janus hitting some bases. They are far too far behind. T3 mass arriving on scene slowly. We're actually working on mass storage at the moment for Ikish, but he has got one T3 mechs. So initial totals, maybe I was a little bit overzealous. I think that might have been reclaim related. We've settled back to about 260 to 265 mass per tick now for Team 2, but still a healthy advantage. They are up a good 33k so far. That is significant. Team 1 has killed slightly more. A couple of K in mass terms. They've destroyed more. Have we got a new push resuming from Ikish, or is he just coming over here to hoover up whatever this is? There's a few wrecks down here, and he is moving up to grab those. You need to start being careful, though. Don't want to leave your comms too exposed. Even if they're underwater, wouldn't take an awful amount to muster up a wave of torpedo bombers to pick your comm off if they know where they are, and this is not a particularly crowded map. Attack missile attack successful from Ramirez. There's the launcher. And most of these mexes are in range, with no tactical missile defense covering that approach, or indeed any other at that position. Little bit of a interceptor fracas at the bottom of the screen. And we've even got one ASF arriving for Donny. We saw him prioritizing air above all else after he lost his naval yards. And it looks like he is ahead of just about everybody else in the air game. We've seen plenty of fighter bombers kicking around, but certainly no T3 tech. We've even got some nice shielding in here for Donny. Got one shield for Ramirez. That's covering all of his defenses pretty much. Crucial infrastructure like that T2 radar. Ramirez was working on a T3 upgrade. Interesting. Cancelled it though, presumably because he caught wind of that new wave of Zooey spam bearing back down on his naval HQ, which he's about to lose, I reckon. I can't remember if he lost it the first time. Must have done. He had those extra 4 coming in behind when he had just a smidge of health left. Yeah, no way he's hanging on to that. Ramirez standing firm on the beach. blapping away at these inbound suicide mortars, which is effectively what they are. Manages to protect his main base, but will have annoyed him losing that naval yard. But look at this. Down at the bottom, Bad Company having amassed 5 Salem-class destroyers, scales the beach, doesn't need to push in any further to begin with, but then just opens up on all of the mass points in the south belonging to Ikish. Oh man, he was nearly fully at T3 on the core mass. There's one Gunther, presumably taking pot shots. Is it even in range? Maybe it isn't. How on earth are they going to counter this? Oh, it's well in range. That's the inner range, minimal range. Here comes a broadsword from Donny. Interceptors respond from Girago, and they are just about going to shoot it down before air superiority fighters obliterate the interceptors. But another gunship turns up, a whaler from Ikish. But look at the absolute devastation. Ikish now pulling in 1 mass per tick. He has no income other than what's being generated by his ACU right now. And I think even that might be slim pickings in a minute as he emerges from the water into the red. 1,600 hit points. He's duking left and right. Somehow he's still alive, but surely won't be for long. Down to 500 hit points. Taking more fire from range. Down to 600 hit points. Just as these vessels pull away when they had him on the run, but all that Bad Company has to do is retarget that comm. And he is down and out. Why he's not doing that, I don't know. We have got a stealth comm, so he can't actually see it right now. Ikish pulling away. Wow, that was very close indeed. But he is, for all intents and purposes, effectively out of this game now. He's got no eco left. The next wave of broadswords will dish out some payback. And make no mistake, this is an expensive loss right here. 5 destroyers. When you're only pulling in 140 mass per tick at 21 minutes into the game, that is costly. There goes the last Salem. Oh, another one turned up. Some Corsairs were dispatched to try and intercept the broadswords, but they're not going to fare too well against Donny's air superiority fighters. Down they go, and we are starting to see this wolf pack of gunships, which isn't the correct term. Answers in the comments section below, chaps and chapettes, if you know what the correct term for a... is it a gaggle of gunships, perhaps? I don't think I've ever had a satisfactory answer to that question, so I'm just going to keep asking it. They're going to make their way over the middle island now. Will they stop to eradicate this position or push on further to the main base? We have just had a new siren turn up, but hit points will evaporate in a nanosecond once all the broadswords open up, which they do. And then they move on down here. What's going on over here? Check this out. Another massive cohort of Zui spam from the north attacking at the same time here from Simon and obliterating Girago's naval yards. One more T1 further to the south. Another cruiser turns up and then gets eradicated. Oh, it's a lot of Sky Slammers turning up on the scene. Wants to take those down first, which he does. Literally, it's 2 hits per unit for that redundant T1 technology. Team 2 are still up about 80-odd mass per tick. Some pushback happening in the center of the map on the waterways from Girago, who's managed to retain that one last T1 naval yard. It's actually surprising just how little the naval side of things has impacted this game, considering the shape of the map. This was significant, make no mistake. And it's taking him some time to get set back up here. He really needs to get his power situation sorted as well. Actually, he's doing rather well on power. Okay. We have a new little base. Actually, I did see these earlier on, but I forgot about them. But these are new reactors that have sprouted up. And that's crucial, because that's allowing him to get re-established down here. And then the attack in the south and the north from Team 2 peters out, and we're back to some relative calm. Bad Company starting a T2 upgrade over here. Probably wants the ability to throw down some defenses, some flak and what have you with the comm to prevent that gunship pressure from causing havoc once again, should it arise. Jiragu, what's he up to? He's upgrading that last remaining... Well, actually, it wasn't the last. That was the last remaining one, I believe. Was it? Which one was it? Anyway, either or, he's upgrading one of them, trying to re-establish his T2 naval presence. We've got another wave of Zuis brewing up here for Simon, who really is sticking with this T1 spam attack in the north, and why not? It's worked pretty well so far. That is a significant amount of T1 bombers for Ramirez. 48 of them so far. Still actually only a total damage of 172, which isn't enormous. Destroyers brought in to try and counter this. They need to stay on the move. They're doing pretty well at blapping the spam so far, and I like the inclusion of triads on the beach. More than a match, surely, for this Zui spam. Will this persuade Simon to change tack at all? Still producing them for now. I mean, it's a useful way to tie up your opponent. It's not particularly costly. But look at this. Another group of gunships. 11 broadswords. 2,885 DPS. And a mass cost of 16,500. Where are they headed? Looks like the targets are going to be T2 vessels down here. Definitely want to take out that governor. It's going to be the high impact anti-air on board. Dealt with. Destroyers down. Just when he thought it was sorted, it rebuilt his T2 naval yard. It's probably going to get taken down again. Now we have some ASFs emerging from Team 1. And it's Bad Company who brings them to bear. But he hasn't got enough to deal with this threat, I don't think. Oh, interesting. So the T1 bombers were sent out. I guess maybe he didn't have a good read on what they were when they were dispatched. So he dispatched all of his wasps to deal with that. And also interesting, Jirago decided not to move his comm away from there. He was going to stick it out. Was that actually a control K? That looked like a suicide. I think he feels like the pressure, continuous pressure, has done them in. And they are too far behind. They are almost, well, about 90k down, more or less, in terms of total mass so far. How many gunships did Donny lose in that exchange? Oh, he's still got 9, so we're only down 2 on what started out. But crucially, those Zuis are still alive, so they're going to push further on inland, having dealt with Jirago. Come a bunch of bangers, but they're not going to be able to do much. And now Core Mass is about to have a very bad day in Jirago's old base. And that really will set the team total tumbling. Through that alliteration in there, free of charge. You're very welcome. Oh, this is carnage from a handful of Zuis. Oh my god, can they take down the T3 air factory. Surely not with all of the build capacity around it. Well, Ramirez control K's also bringing his comm out to deal as much damage to the inbound Zuis as possible upon his exit. He doesn't fancy playing anymore and leaving Bad Company all by his lonesome. Dear oh dear, what is the world coming to? Well, it's not looking great for Team 1. I think it's fair to say that much. Whalers down here finishing off Bad Company's presence on the southern island, and this will be the first time that Team 1 have been pushed off this island this game, and people are beginning to throw out the GGs. Not surprising with both Girago and Ramirez throwing in the towel. Bad Company's not quite ready to do it yet, but I think the writing is on the proverbial wall at this point. Don't really see a route back for him. Last of the Mexes goes down. Bad Company pulling in 242 now, sitting on 3 base. And Donny sitting on 1's pulling in 270 all by himself. So that is a colossal disparity. Ikish has re-established his base, more or less. Probably wants to think about getting some more manufactories online. But there's his T3 Air HQ with a ton of hives around it. That's how he's managed to materialize these whalers. That is really annoying me. Deal with those. Make the island yours. Well, 31 minutes, couple of minutes now since both of the other team members on Team 1 control Cade, and Bad Company still, as yet, deciding whether or not to yield. Has not come to a decision so far. Rhinos coming in to counter the Zui spam, which really has been relentless throughout this game. This little set of factories up at the top of the screen has not let up production for a moment. T1 bombers being brought to bear to assist some of these restorers. And it's extraordinary to me that this outcome that we're expecting now has been brought about by a team who really haven't had that much of a presence in the naval side of things. It's fair to say Simon has well and truly entrenched himself now up at the top with a whopping 5 T2 naval yards. Has the ranged advantage against the Salems. That's a good plan. Get rid of the sonar. Bad Company needs to keep these vessels moving, otherwise he's going to get cruise missiled to death. The attack command is given. We do have 2 cruisers in the mix, but for all of the gunship power we've got on Team 2, they could brush that aside in just a few seconds. Ikish bringing his whalers to bear. What can they see? Do they know? Well, they know that's a cruiser, so he's probably going to make a beeline straight for that. Indeed he does. Another one over here. Should eat the damage next. It doesn't. One Salem gets the fire first, and then they deal with it. ASFs respond. There's Donny. Bring your fighters out. Come on. Another big old group of Zuis coming back in through that north aperture. Both navies pretty much wiping each other out. There's just no way Team 1 pulls this back from here, really. Not with air control firmly in Team 2's pocket. They need to bring in those ASFs, though. Why are they over there? Kill the restorers already. There we go. That's what we need. "34 minutes gone, and Bad Company's still sticking with it. Will he continue to do so, though, once Ramirez's old base is wiped off the face of the earth? Assuming he doesn't just stroll up here and get taken out by these triads, which might happen, of course. He needs to come in and take this tack through here. Oh, would you look at that? We have base-to-base artillery in operation. And that really will be game over. Bad Company does not have the resources to adequately shield everything up and fight a artillery war whilst losing the sea and air game at the same time. 35 minutes. If this doesn't lead to capitulation, I don't know what will. Here comes the Zooey spam in the north. Some engineers over here have shoved down a cunningly placed T1 plasma cannon. The reactor there is begging for it. It manages to see it through. I thought that was going to be more devastating than it actually ended up being. I think those clink hammers might have had something to do with it. Have managed to get one T3 shield gen in play, and this is where he's electing to work on his fusion reactors as a result. That'll be, I think, the one T3 shield gen we've got on this side of the field. But even that doesn't last too long. Not now that ship-based cruise missiles are impacting the area. Down goes the shield gen. Well, you can build all the tactical missile defense you like. It's not going to keep out the artillery. Engineers are all going to eat one of those shells in a minute. Down goes the reactor. And he's got plenty of power redundancy. It's actually shooing the vessels away in the middle. What is the next plan of attack, Team 2? A Naval? I don't think that's going to get built. I don't think it needs to. I don't see how they can adequately defend against the Duke alone. Whalers brought out against a new set of inbound vessels. Once again, taking the cruisers out first. What else has he got after he loses this fleet? And he's actually re-embedded himself down here pretty nicely. But look at this, 847 to 342, and there's a Control K. That was a little bit long overdue. I think he took a while to accept that he wasn't going to be able to deal with this. That's playing for the long game right there. That was never going to get built. But yeah, that would have been very, very hardy play from Bad Company if he was to stick that out. But fair play to everybody. Would have liked to have seen Ramirez and Girago stick it out a little longer, see how it would have gone, but I think the outcome probably would have been the same. The fact of the matter is Team 2 just pressed a little bit harder. We had Simon doing some great work with the Zooey spam in the top, coming around the sides, and crucially, of course, killing off the Navy in the center a bunch of times. And the overall air dominance from Team 2, just a little bit too much for Team 1. to deal with. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Do please feel free to like, subscribe, leave comments, tell me how you're feeling, all of that jazz. And if you like what you see, you'd like to see a little bit more, do feel free to check out the Patreon. It's a mere $1 a month, guys. We've got to 115, 16 premium content casts, something like that. It's all there for $1 a month or a little bit more if you're feeling generous, and you've also got access to the Discord as well. All right, guys, that's enough from me. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile signing out.